But you seem to be dumber than a box of rocks.
Speak none of this shit, man. If you got something for me, man, they got plenty of niggas around me you could call. It's plenty ways you could get in touch with me.
YoungBoy said no thank you. And when he said it, he made sure the whole internet heard it. Let that set the scene, because this right here is where everything started. This is ground zero, the moment that planted the seed for everything that came after. 2020, YoungBoy's Houston crib gets hit while he is not even there. Intruders walk in, film themselves on Instagram Live like they are taking a tour, snatch a chain, grab the keys to his Rolls Royce and his McLaren, and then have the audacity to put up a $30,000 ransom to give it all back. YoungBoy did not pay, did not fold, did not flinch. But here is the thing. What happened next is where the real tension got cooked in, because J. Prince Sr. popped up on social media holding what he said were YoungBoy's recovered chain and car keys.
Hey, I no friends, I no relationships, all that push shit.
Posted it publicly, framed the whole thing as him stepping in as the Houston OG, cleaning up a mess in his city, the elder looking out for the younger artist moving through his turf. But wait, in the code that YoungBoy moves by, that is not generosity. That is not even close to generosity. Broadcasting to the whole internet that you have another man's possessions.
I don't respect none of this shit, man. If you got something for me, man, they got plenty around me you could call. Man, it's plenty ways you could get in touch with me.
Without a private call first, without permission, with everybody watching, that is leverage. That is a soft but very loud message that reads, I have access to your world, whether you invited me in or not. And YoungBoy, he got on camera and made it crystal clear exactly how he felt about it. No gratitude, no handshake, no diplomatic silence, just this. I'm good on them keys. 5 words, aimed directly at J. Prince Sr. You kept the Rolls Royce keys on your platform like a trophy? YoungBoy looked straight into that camera and said, I did not need you. I do not owe you. Keep it moving.
Man, don't get on no internet and do nothing publicly. Don't do nothing dealing with no fucking publicity, none of that shit. And I'm good on them keys, gangster.
And just like that, the internet went crazy. People locked in immediately. The culture noticed, because everybody watching understood what those 5 words actually meant coming from YoungBoy. That is not just a rejection of a gesture, that is a rejection of the Prince family's power. In public, on camera, no filter. J. Prince Sr. felt every single bit of it.
Buy shit cash, two keys come with the car anyway. Mind your business, man.
And his response made it clear exactly how personally he took it. His words spread across commentary channels and reaction videos fast. He drew a line, a very specific line, between YoungBoy and the people around him, between who he respects and who he does not. He called out OG3 by name.
My kindness for weakness, because you're a dumb boy with limited thinking ability and disrespect.
Someone inside YoungBoy's camp who had maintained a genuine relationship with the Prince family. And the message was deliberate. Known your brother for years and never witnessed no weak shit.
Talking slick like you and your brother wasn't down with me letting it be known.
That is not a general statement. That is a verdict. J. Prince Sr. looked at how YoungBoy handled the situation and called it weak, directly, publicly, in front of the same internet that watched YoungBoy wave him off. But this is where everything flips upside down. Because what started as a chain, some car keys, and a social media post, it did not stay there. It grew.
Known your brother for years and never witnessed no weak shit. So OG3, we good.
It aged. It got darker. And years later, the line that had been drawn in 2020 did not just get crossed. Someone got shot. That line landed like a grenade. No warning, no buildup, no mercy. Just J. Prince Sr. telling the whole world, publicly, deliberately on record,
But you seem to be dumber than a box of rocks.
that NBA YoungBoy was dumber than a box of rocks. And this was not some random person running their mouth online. This was J. Prince Sr., one of the most calculated, most respected, most strategically sharp minds in the entire history of hip-hop.
So you despise wisdom. What you should be mad about is the lie you live and the weak-ass security being asleep in front of your house.
Every word that man says in public is intentional, every single one. So when he called YoungBoy dumb in front of the culture, that was not a slip. That was a statement, a calculated public diminishment designed to embarrass, to minimize, and to make sure everybody knew exactly where he stood. But here's the thing, he did not stop there. He followed it up with something even more pointed, a direct shot at YoungBoy's security, calling them weak, saying they were asleep in front of his own house, And the internet went crazy the second people connected the dots, because that line was not just an insult. That was J. Prince Sr. putting the inside job theory on blast. He was suggesting, out loud to everybody listening, that the people YoungBoy trusted to protect his property were the same people who let that robbery happen. Multiple layers of disrespect. In one sentence, no filter, no hesitation, just smoke. And just like that, the whole relationship was exposed for what it had become. Years later, J. Prince Sr. sat down with Ebro at Hot 97 and described the 2020 situation with considerably more measured language, calmer, more composed, framing the whole disconnect as something that eventually got resolved on some level. But here is what that same interview actually revealed. It showed everybody exactly how J. Prince Sr. thinks about going public on situations. And that context explains everything. Every single time the Prince family steps into someone else's narrative, uninvited, calm the storm. That is how J. Prince Sr. frames his public interventions. That is the narrative he sells. But YoungBoy's camp has always read those moves as something else entirely. Something much more controlling, much more calculated. And then 2023 hit, and the whole dynamic played out again in a brand new form. YoungBoy dropped his richest op era, and that project dragged the Prince name right back into the equation, because J. Prince Sr. has long, publicly, loudly positioned Drake as a son of his. So when YoungBoy and Drake had smoke, J. Prince Sr. flew all the way to Utah, in person, to meet with YoungBoy and Birdman, reportedly setting up a FaceTime between Drake and YoungBoy to cool the temperature down. A photo got posted. Statements of mutual respect got issued. The culture noticed. But YoungBoy's orbit read that exactly the same way they read 2020. Another unsolicited insertion. Another moment where Houston's most powerful family walked into business they were not invited into. The photo was taken. The ceasefire was announced. But that underlying pressure, that pressure never cleared. And that unresolved pressure is the foundation everything else in this story is built on. But this is where everything flips upside down, because now we zoom in from the father to the son, from J. Prince Sr. to J. Prince Jr. And this is where it gets really interesting. See, while J. Prince Sr. operates from behind the scenes, a known entity, an established force, a man whose public footprint is carefully managed and protected, J. Prince Jr. has moved in a completely different direction, more visible, more embedded in Houston's nightlife and social scene, more present in exactly the kind of situations that keep dragging his father's name into territory it does not need to be in. J. Prince Jr. was not just raised near this world, he was raised inside it. As a kid, he sat in studios with Dr. Dre and Tupac and treated it like it was ordinary. He watched his father build records into one of the most powerful institutions in all of Southern rap from the ground up. He watched his brother, Jazz Prince, discover Drake on MySpace, turn a DM into a dynasty. The culture noticed that too. So when J. Prince Jr. stepped out and gave his first real public interview, he described what growing up in that environment actually did to his understanding of the world. And the way he framed himself? Confident, rooted, like a man who knows exactly where he comes from. But wait, because there is a whole opposing camp in the commentary world that reads his position very differently, and they are not quiet about it, not even a little bit. And that is exactly the energy J. Prince Jr. carries into every room he walks into, born into royalty. But here's the thing, the streets noticed something. The culture clocked it early. The read on J. Prince Jr. was not that he was a self-made grinder. The read was that he was a rich kid playing in a world he did not come from. No struggle, no come-up story, no street credentials of his own. Just a famous last name and a platinum Rolodex. And that perception, it followed him everywhere. His detractors pushed it constantly. Allstar Jr. would eventually weaponize it into a whole diss campaign, and the internet went crazy watching it land. But J. Prince Jr.'s answer to all of that was always the same. Point at what he actually built, and what he built was mob ties. Now here is where people get it twisted. This was not handed to him with a check from J. Prince Sr. He broke down the real origin story himself, and it flipped the whole narrative. Mob ties started as a crew, a high school crew. Something he built on his own relationships, that eventually connected to Bread Gang Entertainment and Atlantic Records and grew into a real label structure. The most visible signing out of that whole operation was Memphis rapper Finesse 2 Times. And that relationship became its own public disaster. Because early 2026, Finesse went on Instagram and blew the whole thing up in real time. He demanded out. He put the contract structure on blast for the entire internet to see. 35% to finesse, 35% to mob ties, 30% to J. Prince Sr. He called it the worst deal he had ever signed. No filter, no back channel, no private conversation, just the receipts posted publicly for everybody to screenshot and shares. And just like that, the culture was watching to see how J. Prince Jr. would respond like a CEO. But wait, instead of addressing the business, instead of stepping up and handling it professionally, J. Prince Jr. clapped back by clowning finesse on his appearance. Online, for everybody to see. That is not a CEO move. That is a reactive move. And the Mob Ties brand took visible damage in the months that followed, heading straight into April 2026. So when J. Prince Jr. gets asked directly what the Prince name means to him and what he is prepared to do to protect it, his answer does not leave a single inch of room for interpretation. That is the man at the center of what happened next. Born into rap royalty, builder of his own label on his own relationships. A man whose entire identity is wrapped around the idea that the Prince name is something you protect at all costs. Whether that identity held up on the night of April 8th is what this whole story is really about. Confessions, the night everything went sideways. Late night, April 8th, 2026. Confessions, the upscale restaurant and lounge sitting on Kirby Drive in Houston's Upper Kirby District, was locked in for a birthday celebration for OG3, a core member of the Never Broke Again camp. Young Money Energy, NBA YoungBoy's people. The vibe was supposed to be a celebration, but here is the thing. Allstar Jr., a Detroit rapper carrying unresolved energy with someone who was about to walk through the same door, was already inside that building. And J. Prince Jr., by his own account, he pulled up solo, straight from a physical therapy session for his ACL. No crew, no security. And according to him, absolutely zero knowledge that Allstar Jr. was even on the premises. And then, the footage told a different story. HPD confirmed through Lieutenant R. Wilkins that investigators locked in strong surveillance footage almost immediately. The investigation was just getting started when they first addressed it publicly. But what that footage showed? It was not subtle. Per police, a chain-snatching attempt spun into a multi-person brawl and a shooting that put two men in critical condition. No warning, no back and forth, no build-up. Two men moved on Allstar Jr., grabbed his chain, and took him to the ground right there inside the restaurant. And just like that, it was chaos. Several others piled in, working Allstar Jr. over while he was already down, already outnumbered, already on the floor. But this is where everything flips upside down. In the middle of all that chaos, a banger hit the floor. And Allstar Jr. got to it before anyone else could. Both Ben 10 and Dead End Ron caught rounds that night. Both rushed to hospitals, both in critical condition. Allstar Jr., though, walked out of that building on his own 2 feet like nothing happened. And then the footage dropped. J. Prince Jr. at the scene. And just like that, the internet went absolutely crazy. People locked in immediately and ran the worst possible take. That he orchestrated the whole thing. That he pulled up with a squad. That he gave the green light on Ben 10 getting hit. No hesitation, no waiting for facts, no context, just the narrative already written and spreading fast. But here's the thing. Multiple accounts that surfaced in the days after painted a considerably more complicated picture of how that night actually went down. Because according to what was being reported, once people started actually digging into the specifics, the NBA crew was already inside, already turned up, already celebrating their homie's birthday when things got rowdy. And what happened next was not some coordinated, premeditated move from J. Prince Jr. It was a snap reaction. A crew that was already hyped, already in their feelings, and they saw somebody in their space that they did not feel right about. And just like that, the whole "he planned this" narrative started cracking. Then J. Prince Jr. stepped forward himself. On April 13th, he dropped his own Instagram statement, and it matched that account on every single point. He said he went to the restaurant solo. Physical therapy, then OG3's birthday dinner, no crew, no knowledge. His words? I went to the restaurant by myself to meet OG3 for his birthday dinner. I didn't have not one of my guys with me, and everyone who was at the restaurant was there organically to celebrate their homie's birthday. No squad, no coordination, no green light, just a man who showed up to eat. He also came dressed down and told people exactly why. Just came from physical therapy and his aunt's birthday dinner. That's why he was dressed like that. Casual, not prepared for war, not showing up with smoke. But wait, it didn't stop there. Because there were claims spinning online about Allstar Jr.'s child being involved somehow, and J. Prince Jr. addressed that with zero ambiguity. His exact words, "I would never harm a child, and that little boy loves me to death, so y'all can chill out with that BS too." And then he closed it by addressing the victims directly. "Get well, Ben and Ron. Y'all stay strong." The denial was in the streets. The footage was in the streets. And the internet had already made its call before either of those things could even be weighed against each other. The culture had already decided, and facts were running behind trying to catch up. Now let's talk about the man who actually pulled the trigger, the man who made this whole thing a movie. Allstar Jr., born Jeremy Ford. Most people outside of a very specific Detroit rap lane did not have this name on their radar before April 8, 2026. But the culture noticed him in T Grizzly bars, a nod to the Lexington streets where both of them came from. He had moved in the NBA orbit at different points. He had history in that world. But here is where everything flips upside down. Several years before Confessions, Allstar Jr. had been in a relationship with a woman who eventually became J. Prince Jr.'s girl. And the way J. Prince Jr. moved around that situation, according to Allstar Jr.'s rep, Dogface, that lit the fuse. See, Allstar Jr. and his baby mother had been split for around 5 or 6 years by the time J. Prince Jr. came into the picture. The breakup itself wasn't even the problem, but J. Prince Jr.'s behavior after, the social media flexing, the provocations, the calculated disrespect aimed directly at Allstar Jr. personally, according to his camp. And the tension had already boiled over once before this night. At the Empire Grammy party in California, Allstar Jr. allegedly pulled up on J. Prince Jr. directly, and per Allstar Jr.'s camp, J. Prince Jr. backed down, no crew behind him, no smoke returned. So by April 8th, 2026, when both men ended up inside Confessions at the same time, that was not a coincidence anybody was going to let slide peacefully. The moment one side decided to make a move, the chain got grabbed, the mob jumped in, and the whole night exploded. So here's where things get even more wild. Allstar Jr. was getting worked over, outnumbered, catching hands from multiple directions at once, and then a banger hit the floor during the scramble. He got to it first, squeezed 2 people from the group that rushed him, got hit in the process, and still, Allstar Jr. walked out untouched. No body bag, no hospital, no W for the other side. Just a Detroit boy standing tall in Houston territory. The commentary channels locked in immediately, processing the fallout in real time, and the read was not subtle at all. Allstar Jr. was being framed as the underdog from Detroit who walked into a room full of Houston power and walked out holding every single card on the table. But here is the thing. What Allstar Jr. did next turned that framing into a full-scale media takeover. Rather than going quiet while the dust settled, he went straight to Instagram. Zero legal cushion, zero softening, just raw, unfiltered smoke. I thought he was mobbed up till I shot his A few times. Had to shoot to the D because my man Ben 10 took some of my stuff to the hospital with him. He put it all out there for the world to see. And then he stepped into the booth. He dropped Expensive Wristwatch on April 13th, a track that taunted both J. Prince Jr. and Ben 10 with the kind of surgical precision that only comes from someone who genuinely believes they are in the right. 2 days later, Mob Untied landed, and that title alone, that was a statement. A deliberate dismantling of the very brand J. Prince Jr. built his whole public identity around. He went directly at J. Prince Jr. by name on Instagram. And that Kirby Drive reference, that was surgical. Allstar Jr. publicly saying, "I know you were in that building. I know what you did when the shots went off. And now the whole internet knows it too." But wait, he wasn't done. He leaked what he claimed were DMs between himself and Ben 10, posted them publicly, added captions like, "How it feel that everybody left your bum to die." And then the internet went crazy because he launched a $20,000 Ben 10 challenge, clowning the victims to their faces and daring the culture to engage with it. What Allstar Jr. understood, whether by instinct or design, is that the loudest man after a beat is the hardest man to move on from quietly. By flooding every platform with his version of events before anyone else could even set the terms, he became the narrator. No debate, no back and forth, no waiting, just his story running on every major timeline in rap. Ben 10 eventually fired back, called Allstar Jr.'s version a fake narrative. But here's the thing. By then, Allstar Jr. had already locked in the framing on every major timeline, and Ben 10 was playing catch-up from the jump. And just like that, the story shifted to someone who had been quiet through all of it. NB. A young boy's silence was loud. See? Before Confessions put his name in every conversation, Ben 10 was known in a very specific lane. Young Boy's Day One. The ride or die from Baton Rouge who stayed solid through every legal wave and every life upheaval that Young Boy had gone through since they were teenagers running the same blocks together. Ben Anthony Fields and Young Boy grew up side by side, building the kind of bond that only forms when two people survive the same environment together. When a judge ordered them to stay away from each other during Young Boy's probation period, they complied. When that restriction finally lifted in late 2019, Young Boy welcomed Ben 10 back with around $250,000 in cash, a whole suitcase of money sitting there as a declaration. We're back. And this is what that loyalty is worth. Ben 10 was not just another name in the Never Broke Again family. He had been building something real, showing up on the 2021 NBA compilation, dropping records like Play With Me that earned him his own following. His own people who rocked with him, not just because of Young Boy's name. He had a footprint, he had a lane. But here is the thing. His identity in the culture was never really about a solo discography. It was about loyalty. It was about being the man who chose Young Boy's world and stayed there. Through all of it. Every storm, every controversy, every moment where leaving would have been the easier option. Ben 10 stayed. And that is exactly what makes Confessions hit so different. He was at that restaurant as part of OG3's birthday celebration. There as part of Young Boy's orbit, in Young Boy's city, celebrating Young Boy's people. He was there as a soldier, and the violence that erupted inside those walls left him fighting for his life. Multiple gunshot wounds to his torso. No warning, no preparation, just bullets. Early reports had him in critical condition. Social media immediately cycled through the worst possible version of events. And simultaneously, Allstar Jr.'s posts were feeding those narratives, aggressively, without correcting a single one. And Young Boy publicly said nothing. And just like that, the silence became the story. That silence from Young Boy opened the floor to everybody with a platform and an opinion. Industry manager Whack 100 got on Clubhouse and said Young Boy won't pull a Lil Durk, a direct reference to Lil Durk's federal charges stemming from alleged retaliation following King V's death. The raid was clear. Young Boy, with his legal history stacked the way it is, could not afford to crash out over this the way the streets might otherwise expect. But wait. What came publicly from Young Boy's orbit first was not even a statement about Ben 10. It was his mother, Shahana Galden, responding to the backlash that had been directed at Ben 10's own mother, for publicly thanking God that her son survived. Shahana G does not do diplomatic. She came with full smoke, no filter, no PR language, no carefully chosen words, just the raw energy of a mother who has watched her son's world get dissected by people who do not understand it and never will. But this is where everything flips upside down. Ben 10 himself broke his silence from his hospital bed on Good Friday, April 17th, and he did it in a way that refused every narrative that had been written about him while he was laying in that bed. He posted, "In his absence, we serve two different gods. Life support has never been an option. I've been up just on God's timing." All caps. The internet went crazy. No press conference, no interview, no carefully managed rollout. Just Ben 10 announcing to the world, I am still here, and I am not letting somebody else close out my story while I am still in it. Later reports confirmed he was walking and communicating in the weeks following the incident. The culture noticed. People locked in. As of late April 2026, the HPD investigation remains open. No arrests have been announced. Allstar Jr. has not stopped posting. J. Prince Jr. holds firm on his account of that night, and Young Boy has made no formal public statement. What Confessions did was not create a new beef. It forced a 6-year-old one out of the shadows and into the open, where it could no longer be managed, no longer contained, no longer papered over with carefully worded public statements. 6 years of unresolved pressure between Young Boy's sovereignty-first orbit and the Prince family's institutional grip on Houston rap. And a night on Kirby Drive was where all of that pressure finally found a place to land. The footage already dropped. The whole world already saw it. And in this era, that is where the verdict gets made. long before any courtroom ever gets a chance to weigh in. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below telling us your thoughts.